want to start with a simple question, one you might have carried in the back of your mind for years. Do you ever feel like you're the only one who sees the strings? Not the strings of a puppet show, but the invisible, silken cords that move the world around you. The strings of collective expectation, the strings of unexamined rules. Maybe you look at the relentless 9 to 5, the frantic chasing of status, the sheer, exhausting performance of modern life, and you feel a strange mix of disbelief and pity. You watch people racing toward horizons you no longer find compelling. And in that moment, you know something has shifted within you. You're starting to see the true nature of the game. And once you see the game, you can't pretend to be an enthusiastic player anymore. This feeling isn't a flaw. It's a signal. It's the sound of your inner clock ticking louder than the external noise. It's the beginning of a profound spiritual awakening. And that awakening always begins with a series of quiet, deliberate quits. The things you once chased or were expected to value simply fall away. The journey to awaken is not always peaceful. In the beginning, it can feel profoundly lonely. When you start to awaken, you often feel like you've walked into a packed theater where everyone is weeping or cheering at a film you suddenly realize is just a blank screen. You see the projector, you see the light, but you can't share the illusion anymore. This is the burden of seeing. You notice the sheer volume of energy spent on maintaining what I call collective fictions. Collective fictions are the stories we all agree to tell ourselves to keep society running smoothly. The idea that your net worth is your self-worth. The fiction that constant business equals importance. The belief that validation from strangers on a glowing screen is a form of love. Most people are not intentionally deceptive. They are simply living within the dream that has been passed down to them. They are immersed in the water and can't see the concept of dry land. But for you, the water level is dropping. You're starting to see the mud and the rocks. And this awareness creates friction. You feel like a stranger in your own life, perpetually a beat or two out of sync. The people around you, your family, your colleagues, your friends, might start to misunderstand you. They see your newfound calm as apathy. They interpret your detachment from competition as failure. They ask, what's wrong? When really, for the first time, you feel deeply, wonderfully right. The biggest hurdle is internal, the guilt you feel for stepping off the treadmill. But that guilt is just the residue of the collective fiction trying to pull you back in. So why do we quit these things? Because the core message of awakening is simple. You cannot live a genuinely authentic life while simultaneously clinging to inauthentic standards. Imagine your life as a magnificent garden. Before the awakening, you were diligently watering the weeds, the things you thought were flowers because everyone told you they were. You were watering the relentless need to be right, the addiction to comparison, the fear of disappointing others. Spiritual awakening is simply the realization of what is real and what is borrowed. The game of life we see played out in the world is not about happiness or fulfillment. It's a sophisticated scarcity game designed to keep us competing for limited resources, attention, money, status. The true player is the one who steps back and realizes they are not bound by the rules of the scarcity game. They realize they possess an infinite resource within consciousness itself. This realization is both the burden and the ultimate gift. The burden is the isolation. The gift is the absolute, unshakable freedom that comes when you stop chasing ghosts. When you quit the external, you finally create the space for the internal to flourish. You stop being a reflection of the world and start being the source of your own light. What are the specific things, the crucial fictions, that the spiritually awake are quietly, definitively quitting? Let's talk about the 6 most essential quits. 1. Quitting the addiction to external validation. This is perhaps the most difficult quit. We are raised to be dancers for the crowd. We adjust our steps, our music, and our costume based on the applause. We post the highlight, not the struggle. We prioritize being liked over being real. The truly awake person realizes that external validation is a fragile scaffolding built around an unexamined fear. When you quit this addiction, you stop asking the world, "Am I okay?" and you start answering that question for yourself. Your inner authority becomes louder than any external praise or criticism. You quit the need for constant applause and discover the quiet, steady satisfaction of dancing only for the truth in your own heart. 2. Quitting the myth of perfect certainty. The world sells us certainty. Buy this, marry that, follow this plan, and you will be safe. but the universe is pure, dynamic flow. There is no still point. To awaken is to quit the exhausting effort of controlling life. You realize the true path is not a straight highway, but a winding river. The wise person stops demanding a roadmap and instead becomes the torchbearer. They carry the light of their presence and take the next step, trusting that the light is enough. You trade anxiety about the future for engagement with the present. You quit certainty and embrace trust. 3. Quitting the identity defined by your job, title, or role. In this world, we are trained to conflate who we are with what we do. We meet people, and the first question is always, "What do you do?" The awake person realizes this is an absurdity. A job title is a temporary label for a temporary function. It is a shell. Your consciousness is the pearl. You quit the fiction that your worth is tied to your salary or your corporate ladder. You realize that your role is just a costume for the day, but your essence is the actor who never changes. You move from being an employee of a company to being an employee of your soul. Quitting the need to be right. The need to be right is the ego's favorite tool for manufacturing separation. Arguments, debates, the toxic drive to correct strangers on the internet, these are all symptoms of an insecure inner world. The awake person realizes that peace is more valuable than intellectual victory. They quit the ring of conflict. They understand that perception is personal and everyone is operating from their own unique limited lens. They embrace humility and the paradox that true wisdom lies in realizing how little you truly know. You trade the fleeting rush of being right for the deep peace of being free. They are either paralyzed by the ghosts of yesterday, regret, guilt, or stressed by the shadows of tomorrow, fear, anticipation. The awakened soul understands that all power, all truth, and all life exists only in this single shimmering moment. They quit the exhausting mental gymnastics of time travel. They learn to be a maker of ripples. They commit to being fully present in this moment, knowing that the quality of this breath is the only thing that truly determines the quality of their life. By focusing on the now, they quit the self-inflicted stress of the then. 6. Quitting the judgment of others. This is the quit that unleashes true compassion. Judgment is a mirror.
When you judge another person for their flaws, you are shining a light on an unhealed part of yourself. We criticize what we fear we might become or what we resent in ourselves.
The spiritually awake person realizes that every single human being is fighting a battle you know absolutely nothing about. They quit the self-elevating habit of criticism and instead embrace radical empathy. They see past the person's performance and recognize the divine consciousness struggling to express itself within that flawed human vessel. They move from judging a book's cover to respecting its entire complex story.
Now, here is the great paradox of the spiritual quit. When you quit the world's fictions, you don't become a hermit.
You become more deeply, constructively involved. This quitting is not about withdrawal, it's about re-engagement from a place of integrity. It's the difference between being a slave to the system and being a conscious participant. When you quit seeking approval, you become uniquely capable of offering genuine love. When you quit the need to be right, you become an unparalleled listener and mediator. When you quit the external chase, you free up massive amounts of energy to create something genuinely meaningful, something that truly contributes to the world, not just to your bank account or ego. You are the dreamer who has awakened inside the dream. The danger of seeing the strings is that you feel compelled to cut them violently. The wise resolution is to realize you don't need to cut them. You just need to stop letting them control you. You can keep playing the game, but now you play it with patience, humility, and playfulness. Patience with those who are still asleep. Their journey is their own, and pushing them only delays their process. Humility, because you know that even your most profound realizations are just temporary steps on an infinite path. And playfulness, because once you realize the rules are just collective fictions, you can stop taking the entire drama so seriously. You can laugh at the absurdity of it all and approach life as a beautiful, mysterious experiment. So, as you step off the treadmill and into your own rhythm, know this: the feeling of being different, of being out of step, is not a mistake. It is proof. It is proof that you are refusing to live a second-hand life. It is proof that you have chosen to stop being a mirror for the world's expectations and started being the torch that illuminates your own true path. These 6 quits are not a checklist of tasks. They are a process of unbecoming, a graceful shedding of everything you are not, so that the magnificent truth of who you are can finally stand revealed. And in the end, when you have quit the frantic outer chase, what do you find? You find an inexhaustible spring of peace and power within. So let me ask you the hook question again, this time with a new resonance. The life you are meant to live is waiting for you on the other side of these profound quits.